Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Deborah Corbin from CorbinCoaching.com. And Deborah she used to be a professor, a teacher, and you've seen how identity is shifted and shaped. And we want you all watching to be able to step into the identity of a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure, 9, 10-figure author, speaker, coach. And you're going to support us on how we can shift our identity. And I can't wait to learn. So let's go. Deborah, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And this is a topic that I love talking about, which is identity. And as you said, I was an educator and a professor for many, 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 many years. And I had a now I have a bird's eye view into how identity is shaped. And I will go on to say infringed upon and inculcated in ways that is not in alignment with our true identity. Wow. So that's why I call myself a soul activator and a human potential advocate, because I see someone at their pure soul level, and I see them when they have been told who they are and how they show up in their life, and how it really holds people back when they're thinking they're a certain way. Let's take, for example, if you struggled in school, which many kids do, and I won't go into why they're struggling being in inappropriate type of classrooms, but we'll skip ahead. And so they start to hear that over and over, that they're not with the norm. They're not smart. They can't keep up. They need special classes. And so they take that deep into their identity. And particularly when you're young and that starts happening, because you do not have the cognitive capabilities to yield and field what's coming in and accept it as truth. So it's a journey that then becomes true. And then that is what either keeps somebody from actualizing their dreams or going for them. And when I work with people now as adults, which I worked with, when I look back, I'm like, wow, I just saw my students at their purity, so I could take their strengths and accentuate them, versus, oh, wow, you can't do blah, blah, blah yet. I mean, think about this for a minute. If we were all looked at from our strengths, we would go in the ring for things we couldn't do so easily. We'd say, okay, let me just try this. But because if you're looked at from your deficits, you're like, well, I already give up. And that is what happens. Right. And so adults are still carrying around a lot of these identities, maybe consciously or unconsciously, and they become unconscious commitments. They just, it's a cycle, it's a loop. And a lot of this is subconscious. I'm a student of the subconscious mind and neuroscience. And so like 90% of what we're doing is subconscious until we bring it into the conscious and actually raise our awareness and our understanding and our capacity for our own highest reverence. Yes. And this is a really powerful experience for people when they realize they aren't who they've been playing out, and that there is something about them inside where all those dreams are held, that they can see it from fresh eyes and really acclimate to who they came here to be.
Love it. So how do people have this awakening and shifting in their identity if they've been programmed at such a young age to think certain ways and feel certain ways and behave in certain ways? How does one shift to be the 7-figure speaker?
Well, when somebody is having a desire to be a 7-figure speaker, there is something knocking on their inside saying, hey, we're off course, but we have this inspiration going on. And so you become a seeker. And whether it seems coincidental or serendipitous, something will come across your path that will spark a new way of seeing yourself. And hey, wait a minute, what? And so usually it opens the door to that exploration. And it is about personal development, self-development, and understanding yourself at the most intimate level.
Mhm. That's who you are. So, for example, the other day I got to speak in front of 600 kids, and that's where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be on that stage. It's comfortable. And I think a lot of people watching, they know that they're meant to be speakers, and that is where they shine.
Mm,
And they really share and they shine, and it's not hard. It's not scary for them because it's natural.
yes. Here's the thing. Those who have that dream and that desire and who aren't actually stepping onto that stage, they they just need a bridge. They just need a bridge for rewriting that narrative. And truly, when I say rewriting it, I mean coming into consciousness with who that 7-figure person within them is and being that person now and having
Mhm.
someone to support that in the now. And it's a game changer to seek highest counsel and not go it on your own. And we all know this, we're in the coaching industry in one way or another. When you have a coach, it is because they can expedite, they've been it, they know it, they can guide, they're the catalyst
Yes.
for rapid transformation. And for me, time is how you insert yourself in it, not a time on the clock. So that's a
Ooh.
big one because people will keep their dreams out in the future because wouldn't that be great one day when I'm on that stage? And that is a concept of time that keeps you in the one day, which never really happens because let's think about it. There's one day isn't on the calendar at all. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's no day on that calendar that says one day, but yet a lot of people subscribe to that day. So
Yes.
the demystification of the things we have in our mind rolling around and bringing that to our conscious awareness is what I reference, and it's a Japanese term called a Satori moment. And a Satori moment is having an instant awakening, something that just wakes you right up. And the thing is, you can have an instant awakening. And what that's going to require, though, when your consciousness has been opened to like, oh my gosh, I can be that now. I don't have to subscribe to one day. It's going to require, and this is really, really, really critical in the identity transformation process, that you are willing then to recommit to that instant awakening as many times as necessary in a particular day. And what that requires is meeting yourself in the crevices of who you've never seen yourself as, but you're still that person already.
Mm.
So it requires courage. And the thing about courage, and those who desire to be on the stage but are still frightened of it, think that one day you're going to wake up and be all prepared and be courageous then.
Mm.
Courage does not work like that. Courage is within us all, and it is utilized when you access it.
Mm-hmm.
So most people get that wrong. They're waiting to feel courageous. You have to make a non-negotiable commitment to
Mm-hmm.
access the courage that's already within you.
Okay.
So that's a paradigm shift right there, right?
Well, I think I love what you're saying, be it now.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you're saying is recommit in that moment. And because you might lose it because you put it on a pedestal for later, but recommit in the crevice of that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then talk a little bit, and then courage is access. So talk a little bit about non-negotiables. How can we hold that boundary and say and commit to a non-negotiable? What would that look like in a practice for one of your clients or for us?
Yes, I love that you're asking this. Well, to have non-negotiables is to understand how you're being right now and asking yourself, how is this serving me right now? And so getting intimate with yourself and how you're showing up. I say, who is your representative that's showing up in your life as you? Like, who is she? And usually you're going to find these things, again, lack of courage. And the non-negotiable then would be, well, if I look at my lack of courage, that's one of the things that's keeping me from being the 7-figure speaker. And so it's always in the polarity. It's always in, all right, I am courageous, and defining that and feeling that, like getting into the emotion of that 7-figure speaker now. And I have a whole proprietary body of work that I've developed to help people do this daily. So you are actually reprogramming your subconscious mind through
Nice.
your listed non-negotiables. And again, they come out of the polarity of what you don't want and flip it over to what you do want and make that non-negotiable. We can do things that we don't feel ready for. We can do things that we're scared to do. We can hold 2 emotions at one time, and people sometimes don't even know that, or they forget that. I can be scared and freaking courageous all in one moment. And I
Yes.
can choose which side of that coin I'm going to give my energy to. So that would be a
So good.
non-negotiable for me, to be courageous.
Yes.
Because if your dream is so vivid, here's the other thing. Bring the dream into the now vividly, in written form, in emotionalities, and really, anchor that. And that is going to be the driver for your daily non-negotiables. Because you
Okay.
feel that 7-figure speaker, you know what he or she feels like, you know the compensation you're going to receive for that, you know the people's lives you're going to affect from that, you feel it like in every cell in your body. Thereby, if you have a non-negotiable, you tie it to your vision, and you're just like, okay, it's not something that's negotiable.
Yeah.
It's just not
Right. Okay.
negotiable. Like, you're just not available. What are you not available for anymore? Because we know what we're available for. And
Yes.
I help people build their emotional bandwidth, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you build your emotional bandwidth in a, what I like to say, vertical tower kind of way, that is not very stable. The first time a big windfall comes by, you're going to fall down. You're going to get down. And what happens when you go down? You put a little chink in your own chain, and you may not get up the next day. You may not. You may let that day go by, or you may let a week go by. And so what happens, you fall lower away from your dreams. And every time that happens, you're struggling to come back up to a set point that you were already at. And now that you haven't even crossed the barrier, which I call, having this, I'm losing my word right now for what I teach my clients. There's a word, it'll come to me in a minute, but it's a set point that a lot of people will get to, and they won't go above it. Do you understand?
Right. Like
And
the
your
upper
dreams,
limit.
yeah,
They go to
exactly. The upper
yes.
limit. We all have an upper
Invisible
limit.
glass ceiling. Like they go to
Yes,
invisible glass
there it
ceiling.
is.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we all have a basic need of security and safety, subconsciously for sure. So when we hit the upper limit, we retreat. So if you
Yes.
make it a non-negotiable and you understand where your upper limit is, and you don't allow yourself to retreat, you're going to break your own glass ceiling. You're going
Right.
to go up there where everything you want is. So when you
Yes.
see
There.
this, it's like, you're just like, oh my God, why is this turning simple now? Why is this looking so attainable now? Because we bring it to like a concrete example.
So good. I agree with you. Like that law of duality where you can hold 2 emotions, the courage and the excitement or fear at the same time. I think a lot of people go all or none with their emotions, but you
Yes.
can hold both. It's the law of polarity, it's the law of duality. That's great. So you help them increase their emotional bandwidth so that it's not vertical. So what do? They created 2 towers.
Horizontal. A horizontal
Oh.
base. You're an athlete, and if you're a mountain biker, the requirement is endurance. And
Yeah.
how do you build endurance? Is to build your aerobic base as a
Mhm.
cyclist. I was a fitness instructor. I
Oh,
know,
nice.
and a lot of people don't want to build their aerobic base. They want to build that tower. They want to go fast. And what happens is your legs and everything cannot keep up your oxygen capacity when you just have a desire and you haven't built the foundation. So any cyclist knows that they spend most of their training in a steady state zone
Mhm.
endurance building. And that's what this emotional bandwidth is about. Steady state. Now, it doesn't mean life
Mhm.
doesn't happen, but listen, life is happening to everybody. However, when you decide life is going to happen for you, no matter what's coming at you, that you are the alchemist of situations versus situations altering you, the sky starts to open up big time
Yeah.
for what's capable. That 7-figure stage is sitting there with
Yeah.
that
It's already,
emotional bandwidth.
because it's already here. It's already here now, but the awareness is limited.
Yes.
That's the
Yeah.
only thing blocking you. It's just, it's already here. It's like opening up that invisible sliding glass door and walking through.
Yeah. And you just have to be willing to get back on the bike every day and run those
Mhm.
reps. A high level
Yes.
athlete has to run the reps over and over and over. And there's actually not a guarantee they're going to play in the game, whether,
Right.
but they run the reps because if you're a 7-figure speaker or desire to be one, you got to be running those reps before you ever enter that stage. I
Mhm.
tell my clients, we're not getting ready for the stage. We are ready. And then we
Mhm.
get on the stage. It's
Right.
stay ready, not get ready.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so then tell us, what's your Mamba mentality? It's funny because I just got a new car and I'm calling it White Mamba.
Oh, well, that's Kobe Bryant. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
the late great Kobe
of
Bryant. And
course.
he talks about the constant quest to be the best version of oneself. And
Yes.
if we wake up as that as a non-negotiable, game over. It's done. We have everything we
Mhm.
want. I'm the best version of myself. There's the thing though, capacity of self is limited by your own limited view of yourself. And the work
Mhm.
that I do is called the internal revolution because we got to stir that up. We got to get in there and open the capacity, but we have to clear out what's kind of tucking it down under all this stuff.
Well, yeah, if you think about the word revolution, the French Revolution, there's a lot of turmoil that needs to be moved out and conquered through and created space for. So that's amazing. So I know you have a free gift about confidence. Can you tell us about that?
Oh my gosh, this is such a perfect fit for anyone actually in any business, but definitely for a 7-figure stage. It is actually a workshop that I did that walked people through what this really means to real deep levels. So it's something you can get on my website where you can just do this in your own time. I think we went about 2 hours. You can do it in your own time and then really, really internalize it. And here's the thing, information is just another bunch of stuff unless we sit down, since we're going to take the time to say to yourself, there's a reason I'm crossing paths with whatever the information is, whether it's this confidence workshop or a book, and ask yourself how this time that you're committing is actually going to affect you. Not
Mm,
just not just be a passive recipient,
right.
because people will read great books. Those people that say they read 100 books this year. And
Yeah.
then you say, well, tell me about so-and-so book. And they don't know, they don't remember. The thing is, and I don't know if you are a student of Wallace Wattles, but
Oh yeah.
the science of getting rich,
Yes.
that's, that's a seminal book if you understand what he's saying. And in that book, in the back of the book, towards the end, he says, do not read another book
Right.
ever until you have internalized this. And for some reason, I had read that book before, but for some reason, this particular time, I said, I wonder what would happen if I really just listened to that.
For a whole year.
Well, I didn't read any other books. I read that one as if Wallace Waddle was sitting at my table. And I mean, I didn't turn the page until I understood what he was saying on this page to me, and I was writing how he was speaking to me. So what I'm saying about the confidence workshop,
That's cool.
sit down with a notebook and
Hmm.
ask yourself what you really need to hear and how this could and will have an impact in your life. I'm only here for impact. I do not want to do anything to waste anybody's time or life, because life is precious. And so
Mhm.
if you're going to use something that I've put out there, please allow it to be as impactful as the intention behind it.
That's good. I love it. I read Wallace D. Waddell's The Science of Getting Rich. I read that book a lot back in the day. And, the Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, he talks about having the quote unquote mastermind he would have a mastermind with Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Jefferson. And it's like, sounds like that's what you did. You had that experience
Yeah.
with Wallace. That's pretty cool. So what did you learn from that?
Well, I want to go back to what you just said, though. But Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, chapter 4, is about autosuggestion, the process of autosuggestion. And that
Mhm.
is the key to the identity work we're talking about, because of the our identity has been formulated. And when you're in a transition, when you're upgrading, it's going to take that repetition. So the process of autosuggestion is so powerful. Now, what did I learn from Wallace? Wallace is a very spiritual, actually, the Science of Getting Rich is talking about getting rich physically, but it's also talking about being rich at soul. And so
Mm.
you really got to read what he's really talking about. And the main emphasis, and people do not like this book actually because of the wording he uses, because he talks about the oh my gosh, my mind, hold on. It's about the invisible
Digital
potential.
substance,
Yes, the
invisible
original
substance.
substance, which is really a book about your higher power and
Yeah.
the consciousness
Mm.
in the that is available to all of us in the realm of possibilities. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's there for our taking. But
Yeah.
if we're in a lower vibration of understanding that, we're not going to seek the realm of possibilities that is
Yes.
right in front of us for everyone. Nobody's better than
Mm-hmm.
anybody. And
True.
so that's his main message, is to continue to be in the presence of this all-knowing energy available to all of us, which is a higher power.
Mm-hmm. So good. And he wrote books about health too, in like the early 1900s.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I just see all these guys sitting around a table,
Yeah.
and the biggest mastermind of all masterminds, because if you read the original thought leaders, which he is one,
Mm-hmm.
they all have a similar flavor. They're all speaking a similar message. Not that they're repeating each other, it's just that they believed it, they anchored it. That's what they were about. And that's why masterminds are so powerful.
Yeah. And from my studying, because just a side note, studying the Bible as well, it all came from the Bible. Like what they're talking about literally came from the Bible. And then what's interesting to me is they took the Bible out of the schools in the United States, like in the 50s. And so now everyone's kind of, anyway, that's just my little side note on this.
Yeah.
The principles were first in the Bible, and then quote unquote the original New Thought leaders really got it from the Bible, and a lot of them reference the Bible.
Yeah.
And
And he
so
does.
it's
I mean, he has quotes in there. And I tell
Mhm.
clients, because I do read this book with clients, that, if the Bible's not your thing, open your mind to this body of work, which the Bible is truly a body of work that has so much in there for you. If you get past your constructs that maybe you don't believe in the Bible, or you don't have that, that's not the point. Like, open your capacity for what's in it.
Yeah,
So
because it's
it's
really good. I mean, even just starting with Proverbs, wisdom. There's so much wisdom. So, well, we could talk forever. Do we go to Deborah Corbin coaching to get this
it's
work?
just deborahcorbin.com/home. And
Okay.
it'll take you to a page where you can access the confidence workshop. And I would love, love, love to have some feedback. If I can give, I don't know, just I would always love to have that feedback. I can give an
Yeah,
email or anything, but you can find me on
that's
socials.
awesome. All
Yeah.
right, Deborah, thank you so much for sharing and shifting our identities. I hope everyone found this as beneficial as I did. Follow Deborah on Instagram, Facebook, etc. under Deborah Corbin.
Yeah.
And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for watching. Enjoy her workshop. Bye.
Thank